Thank you for joining us for this 11Alive Verify special, where we take your questions as well as viral claims and separate fact from fiction. I'm Jerry Carnes. First, there's a battle over books in Metro Atlanta schools about whether content is appropriate for children. We saw a Cobb County teacher get fired over a book she read to her class this year. There's also an appeal over a book ban in Marietta schools. We had a viewer ask us if districts need to tell parents when they ban a book. 11Alive's Christy Diaz has the answer.
In April of 2022, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp signed Senate Bill 226 into law. It outlines a new process for challenging a book's content and opens the door for parents to request a book be removed from school libraries if it contains material that is harmful to minors. But under the new law, can a school remove a book without alerting the public? Let's verify. Our sources are the Georgia First Amendment Foundation, SB 226, and Joy Ramsing, a lawyer who specializes in public records and transparency. The law is tailored to target books that include sexual content.
The standard is actually really good. That it's fair. Does a work have no literary value, no artistic value, no scientific or political value?
If a parent wants to challenge a book, they must put their complaint in writing and give it to the principal. The principal then has 7 business days to decide whether to remove the book and 10 days to let that parent know their decision. Joy says if the principal agrees the book should be removed, the law does not require any public notice.
If the principal agrees with the parent that the book is harmful, that's it. The book can be removed and that's it.
If the principal disagrees, the parent can appeal to the school board, but the law still doesn't require anything to be published publicly yet.
They do have to give the parent the opportunity to speak at public comment, but they don't have to, as I read the law, they don't have to necessarily debate the merits of this book in public.
If the parent disagrees with both the principal and the school board, only then does transparency kick in.
Only at that point, within 15 days, does that book title get published, and then they have to keep it on the website for at least a year.
So we can verify, yes, under Georgia's new law, a school can remove a book without alerting the public.
Here at 11Alive, we are focused on keeping you and your family safe. We've worked with Georgia's Attorney General to track down people involved in human trafficking and save survivors. Ron Jones verifies if there's any truth behind viral videos that claim to reveal ways human traffickers are targeting their victims.
Our sources tonight include Hannah Palmquist, the unit chief of Georgia's Human Trafficking Prosecution Unit, Polaris Project, and the Guardian Group. Both are national nonprofit organizations working to identify and help those victims. Now, the videos we're talking about warn that traffickers are marking vehicles with codes or putting zip ties on car door handles to identify potential victims. Other claims that traffickers are actually using abandoned car seats to lure people before abduction. Polaris Project runs the National Human Trafficking Hotline and has looked into these claims. So data from January 2015 through December 2021 shows 0 cases of zip ties being used as markers. The same time frame also does not show any cases of car seats being used to lure victims. So we can verify, no, there is no evidence sex traffickers are using tactics shared in viral social media warnings to target their victims. By the way, the city of Atlanta ranks 2nd in the nation when it comes to the highest rates of human trafficking. According to the Attorney General's office, traffickers look to form a bond with someone first. Likely these victims do not have a solid foundation and network of support. So here locally, authorities are focused on gangs because, unfortunately, it all boils down to money.
The trafficker will sell a child because they can sell them over and over and over again. Where if they were to sell drugs, once they sell that cocaine, they have to go purchase more supply. But with a child, they can keep making money off of that child over and over again.
Smoking hookah is a highly popular social activity around Atlanta, but there's some major concern after a viral TikTok video showed a group of friends claiming they ended up in the hospital with carbon monoxide poisoning after smoking hookah. People are confused and asking, how did that happen? 11Alive's Aisha Howard verifies.
You ask, we verify. Can smoking hookah lead to carbon monoxide poisoning? Absolutely. When we look at hookah, hookah is a combination of burning charcoal and also this shisha, which is a mix of herbs. And those herbs also can produce formaldehyde, tar, and carbon monoxide gases.
Let's talk about how important it is to be in a well ventilated area if you're going to partake in hookah.
Ventilation is so important for a number of reasons, but certainly for a hookah, when you're burning this charcoal and burning this shisha, we know that just a 60-minute session of hookah is equal somewhere between 8 and 15 cigarettes smoked during that same period of time.
I mean, whoa, did you hear that stat? It stopped me in my tracks, seriously. In the video, the friends say they smoked hookah for up to 5 hours and eventually closed the windows in their apartment as the evening went on. And that's when they all got a headache. Eventually, the carbon monoxide detector went off, a reminder to get one and make sure the batteries are fresh. That is when the girls called 911. Firefighters came and suggested you got to go to the hospital, get an oxygen treatment after checking the CO2 levels in the home, which were at a dangerous level. So yes, we can verify smoking hookah can lead to carbon monoxide poisoning.
You may have seen the viral claim saying kids behave worse when their moms are around. It's based on a study out of the University of Washington. Most parents are probably thinking, yeah, I don't need a study to tell me that. But the answer is more complicated. Our Christy Diaz digs through the facts to verify.
The headline is bold, claiming children behave 800% worse in the presence of their mother. It says the reason is pheromones and cites a Dr. K.P. Leibowitz from the University of Washington's psychology department. The claim has gotten intense reaction from parents. But is it true? Let's verify. Our sources are the University of Washington Psychology Department, the Wayback Machine, an internet archive, and Samantha Speed, a licensed professional counselor who works with children. Speed says the claim, although it sounds good, is not true.
First of all, the researcher didn't exist. And second of all, the data was nowhere to be seen.
The University of Washington confirms that. In a statement to 11Alive, the psychology department said, "We do not know the origin or author of the document. We do know there is no Dr. K.P. Leibowitz at the University of Washington in any of our current or historical databases." The satirical study has popped up in social media posts, websites, blogs, even a news site in Africa. All of them source this website, Mom News Daily. The website, based out of India, circles back to the fake study. Emails to the website creators have gone unanswered. Even though all the data is fake, Samantha says there is some truth to the claim.
Children often act out or behave in certain ways like this when they're around their primary caregivers, mainly because they feel a sense of safety and security.
She says it could be a dad, a grandparent, a nanny, or another caregiver, anyone with whom the child feels safe to show their emotions.
You're telling me this is really a good thing?
Yes.
So we can verify, no, children are not 800% worse when their moms are in the room, but they do tend to show their big feelings to the people they feel most comfortable. With your Verify, I'm Christy Diaz.
It's officially cold and flu season, and this year it's accompanied by the rollout of a new COVID vaccine recommended for everyone aged 6 months and older. One study caught our eye, suggesting there might be heightened effectiveness for patients who take all of their COVID vaccines in the same arm. Our Jonathan Martin verifies the facts.
Our sources, Dr. Charles Bajir, emergency medicine physician with Novant Health, and the study itself published in eBiomedicine. Scientists in Germany looked at the health data for 303 people who got the mRNA vaccine, followed by a booster shot. Antibodies were measured 2 weeks after receiving the second shot. According to the study, the percentage of patients with detectable levels of protective killer T cells, which help destroy the COVID virus, was 67% in people who got both shots in the same arm, compared to 43% for people who got them in different arms.
It's thought that perhaps because when you use the same arm and the same kind of vaccine medication drains to the same lymph nodes in that arm, it's going to cause more of an exaggerated response within the lymph node.
Dr. Brazier says this effect may help people who have a harder time with immune response if they get the vaccine in the same arm. However, he says the study only looked at 300 people, so its findings can't be generalized to apply to everyone. In the end, he suggests whatever you're comfortable with, you should do.
Most of the antibody response and immunity levels by getting it in the opposite arm were the same. They just noted a difference in two of the many components of the antibody response that seem to be get a better response when the same arm is used.
Dr. Brazier tells us he would be curious to see if further studies replicate the same result. But he says it's far more important to just get the vaccine than to debate which arm it should go in.
More districts are installing speed cameras in school zones. It helps authorities issue citations to speeders, but we've heard from many of you wondering whether that applies outside of school hours. 11Alive's Grace King finds the answer.
Our sources are Georgia State Code, Gwinnett County's website, and Cornell Madison, an assistant police chief who's worked in law enforcement for 27 years.
These school zones are trying to save lives and try to save these children's lives, and that's why they're using all the software available that they can.
The cameras come with a set of rules outlined in Georgia Code. It says those violations can only be issued on a school day during the time classes are taking place 1 hour before and 1 hour after, when the car in question is going at least 10 miles over the speed limit.
If a state trooper or a deputy sheriff here in Georgia is in that speed zone, they can still stop you for 1 mile over.
The hours vary by school. Take Gwinnett County, for example. At Graves Elementary School, police say the cameras are on from 7:15 in the morning until 3:45 in the afternoon. The cameras at Linear Middle School go on at the same time, but they don't shut off until 5 in the evening because classes run later.
You can be cited throughout the day. So if you're driving through the school zone, trying to take a shortcut, and you're above the posted speed limit for the school zone or the speed limit, you will still receive a citation.
Student loan payments are officially back after a 3-year pause. As borrowers search for different avenues for loan relief, some are asking if filing for bankruptcy will wipe out their student loan debt. 11Alive's Ron Jones verifies.
As borrowers search for different avenues for loan relief, some are asking us, will filing for bankruptcy wipe out their student loan debt? Well, let's verify. We went to these trusted sources to get you the answers you deserve. The first thing you need to know is that getting your student loans discharged through bankruptcy is not easy. It's going to be a struggle. The National Consumer Law Center says that it could be the last resort for both private and federal student loans, but they will not be discharged automatically if your bankruptcy is actually approved. To get your student loans discharged, you'll have to take the extra step of proving undue hardship. The Federal Student Aid Office says a court will look at these factors when deciding whether you meet that requirement. Will you be able to maintain a minimum standard of living if you're forced to repay the loan? Is there evidence that hardship will continue for a significant portion of the loan repayment period? And did you make good faith efforts to repay your loan before filing for bankruptcy? So yes, if you meet the requirements, a judge could decide to cancel your loan, get rid of a portion of your loan, or change the terms of your loan so it's easier for you to repay. So the answer to this question, of course, is yes. You can get your student loan wiped away by filing for bankruptcy. However, there are other ways to manage your debt, and experts say you should reach out to your loan servicer to see what's the best option for you.
Health experts recommend staying active if you want to live a long and healthy life, and yes, it's important for kids too. But viral videos showing young kids lifting weights have raised some questions. Many commenting on these videos want to know if it's safe for kids to be lifting or if it can damage their bodies. 11Alive's Jonathan Martin looks into it.
Does weightlifting stunt growth in children? We reached out to these sources, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, for some perspective. Here's what we found out. The idea that lifting can stunt a child's growth comes from the idea that it's damaging their growth plates. Dr. Rebecca Carl says most injuries come from improperly handling weights, not from too much pressure on growth plates. The American Academy of Pediatrics says strength training can actually be beneficial for children. Low weight, high repetition, they say, is best, and it needs to be done under supervision. Several studies also show some similar results. One doctor says it's best to wait until a child is in grade school and has already mastered some of the movements associated with sport. So we can verify, no, weightlifting does not stunt growth in children. Children can safely lift under supervision with light to moderate weights. But if weights are handled improperly, then there are some risks for longer-term bone problems.
There's a good chance you've got a road trip on your calendar. If you're in for a long drive, you might be looking to save money. That's why an 11Alive viewer asked us if using cruise control helps you save on gas. Here's Faith Jesse.
Our sources are the Department of Energy, researchers at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and major car manufacturers like Kia. So here's what we found. Cruise control lets you take your foot off the gas and helps your car maintain a consistent speed. Researchers say that's the key to saving money. Speeding or slamming on the brakes can actually lower gas mileage by 10 to 40% in stop-and-go traffic and roughly 15 to 30% at highway speeds. The Department of Energy says vehicles use the most energy when they're speeding up, so turning on cruise control is the most fuel-efficient option. So we can verify, yes, using cruise control will help you save money on gas. Just keep in mind, you shouldn't use cruise control if the weather is bad or if you're driving on narrow, curvy roads. And if you can't safely use cruise control, but you still want to save some money, Fuel Economy says to try avoid aggressive driving, remove extra weight from your vehicle, and avoid idling as much as possible.
Right now, Congress is considering a credit card competition act. We've heard some concerns that if passed, it would ban certain reward programs. 11Alive's Grace King joins us to verify.
Our sources are the Credit Card Competition Act of 2023 and the payment processing company Stripe. Let's start with the basics. Credit cards are issued by banks and credit unions. Their transactions are then processed by payment card networks like Visa and MasterCard. Retailers pay processing fees on those transactions, which go back to the credit card issuers and the payment card networks. The bill, which was introduced to the House and Senate, wants to cut back on those fees. It would ban the payment card networks from requiring transactions on their cards to be processed on that same network. It doesn't make any reference to reward programs, perks, cashback, or travel miles. So we can verify that no, Congress is not considering a law that would ban credit card rewards.
Wasps are a dangerous nuisance that we've all had to deal with at one time or another, and right now there are claims on the internet that the best way to get rid of a nest is to get up close and personal and bring a cup of gasoline. Our Ron Jones finds out whether it's safe or if you should stay away from this trend.
Videos on TikTok make it so simple, so easy. Just take a cup of gasoline, place it over the nest, and watch the wasps die. So let's verify, is holding a cup of gasoline up to the wasp's nest a safe way to kill those insects? Our sources are Texas A&M School of Integrated Pest Management, University of Kentucky Department of Entomology, and Michael Raup, an entomologist at the University of Maryland. Raup says this technique works because hydrocarbons that comprise of gasoline are volatile and can be lethal to humans if ingested or inhaled, whether you're a wasp, human, or another living thing. Gasoline is quickly lethal once it enters into the respiratory system. And this is not the first iteration of people trying to use gasoline against pests. We've seen it before of people pouring gasoline down an underground hole to take care of yellow jackets, a yellow jacket nest. Texas A&M School of Integrated Pest Management says to never use gasoline against wasp nest. It's extremely flammable, and the University of Kentucky Department of Entomology says using gas is seldom successful and can result in multiple stings. So we can verify here, folks, no, holding a cup of gasoline is not the safe way to kill wasps. Instead, experts recommend use an aerosol wasp spray. Most are created to spray from at least 20 feet away from the nest. It freezes the nest and kills the wasp on contact.
No matter the question, we're dedicated to answering any you might have. If you see a claim you want us to verify, send an email to verify@11alive.com. You can also text the word verify to the number you see on your screen, 404-885-7600. Thanks for joining us.